Hi everyone, this is Julie, Kansas City girl in a Colorado world. This is Flosstube number 91 and today is Sunday, February 13th. It's the day before Valentine's Day. And like usual, I've got plenty to show you. I have a new design, a new finish. I design under the name Hemlock Rye Stitchery, and I will link the website down below in the info box. My designs are available on my Gumroad page, and Gumroad has a platform where you can do a pay what you want. So my patterns come as PDFs. They include a black and white and a color version of the chart, and you can get it for free, or you can pay what you think you would like to pay for it, and then you can download it as a PDF pattern immediately. So I've got several things I've designed over the last, it's almost been 2 years now. And this is my newest design. So this, just a little brief backstory, and then I'll show it because I know, you want to see it and not listen to me ramble on and on. My friend Carla, Rolodex Stitches on Instagram and Flosstube, inspired this pattern. I have owed her a pattern for a while now. I told her I had a pattern idea that I wanted to design and stitch for her birthday, which was back in June of 2021. And I started, but I never could quite finish the pattern. It wasn't coming together. And so I keep telling her, like, I'm gonna get your birthday present to you. And yeah, here we are, and it's February. But anyway, Carla has inspired lots of design ideas for me, and this was one that was directly inspired by her. So the pattern is called Through Love, and unfortunately I can't keep this because I actually stitched it for Carla, so it is going to go in the mail and go off to her. This is inspired by a book called Crescent City by Sarah J. Maas. Carla and I are both huge fans of that author, and the book had come out probably, it's almost 2 years now ago, and maybe less than that. Anyway, she kept asking me if I read it yet, and I kept saying no. I want to wait until we're closer to the second book because it's a series. And so I finally read it because the second book comes out this week, and fangirled and like messaged Carla through the entire reading experience. But this quote, "Through love, all is possible," is from the book. It's featured very, very prominently in the book. And it just so happened that I think it also kind of works for this time of year, Valentine's Day, or Galentine's Day, because this is for my friend Carla. Love doesn't have to be romantic love, but the the quote, like I said, is featured very heavily in the book, but I think it's kind of universal. Like, I don't think you have to have read the book to appreciate through love, all is possible. The moons and the big crescent moon are certainly inspired by the book as well. I finished this as a large pillow, just some fabric I had in stash as the backing there. And it features only 3 colors. It's stitched on 32 count Lugana in the color Chalkboard from Zweigart. So just a gray charcoal color. And it's 1 DMC, a very pale lilac. I think it's DMC 26. And then I used DMC Etoile for the moons. And then I used a little bit of DMC metallic. I think the color is 3821. I know that most of us do not love stitching with DMC metallics, myself included. I used it very sparingly. I just used it to outline the moons and to back stitch the crescent moon, and just like a couple little doohickeys here and there. But I did use it sparingly because I know it can be difficult to work with. Really any gold would work. You could certainly use treasure braid or Krynic or some other kind of metallic, or even just a gold toned DMC floss would be fine too. But I just wanted it to have some sparkle. So the Etoile is Blanc, which is because of the shimmer, which is silvery. Blanc Étoile is not like pure white. It's got a grayish tone to it. I don't know how well that's showing up, but anyway, 3 colors, and I'm so happy with this, and I'm really sad that I have to give it to Carla, but she deserves it. So this again is called Through Love, and you can get it on my Gumroad page, which will be linked down below. I feel like there was probably something else I wanted to say about this, but I forgot. So, all right, so new pattern. Previous finishes. What did I finish a year ago? Turns out I was in the Valentine's mood a year ago as well. And I came out with a pattern, a set of 3 patterns, smalls, called Helpless, the Helpless Trio. These were inspired by the Broadway musical Hamilton. And they're still like some of my favorite things I've done. I love them. It's really hard to hold these and show these. So let me just kind of do this and then I'll show them again individually. So the song, I took lyrics from the song Helpless from the musical. So this one is Boy You Got Me Helpless, and it's Angelica and Hamilton. This one is I Am So Into You, and it's Thomas Jefferson and Hamilton. And then this one is My Heart Went Boom, and it's Eliza and a swing, a background performer from the show. So my thought with these was like you could mix and match. So Hamilton being like the main character, I've got him where he's facing both ways. And then you can put your favorite character. So like I like Hamilton and Angelica, but you could do Hamilton and Eliza, and then use whichever song lyrics you want. You can stitch them as they are, whatever you want to do. Somebody, when I released these a year ago, somebody said they wanted to take Thomas Jefferson and mirror him and just have I Am So Into You, and it's Thomas Jefferson looking at Thomas Jefferson, which literally like was hysterical to me. So anyway, those are on my Gumroad down below if you are a huge Hamilton fan like me and you have any desire to stitch those. Finish them as little heart pillows with some pom-pom trim. So those were my previous finishes. That was it. This time of year, I don't finish a lot of things. I was looking back over last year. I hadn't finished very many things in January and February, and same thing this year. I've only finished a couple things. But I have finished a couple things, and let me show you. I am in the Valentine spirit. So Brittany from Ingleside Imaginarium just released these patterns last week, and they're called Domestic Love, and it's a set of 3 little Valentine's themed patterns, and I just think they are so cute. And they're really quick stitches. You can, I mean, obviously they're small, but I was really surprised how fast this stitched up. I've only stitched one so far. I started with this one, You're the Cat's Meow, and I haven't finished. It took me 1 day to stitch this. This is 32 count. Picture this plus Serene, I think is the color. It's just a super, super pale, like minty aqua. And I used the called for DMCs. Obviously haven't had a chance to fully finish that yet. I do want to stitch the other 2 and then do some kind of cute finish. So love those, super fast stitches. Love them, love them. I also finished a Witchy Stitcher pattern, and this was also for a Valentine's sort of pattern. This is called Halloween Spirits by the Witchy Stitcher. This is a pattern that came in 3 colorways, and I actually combined the white pumpkin with the pink was one of the colorways, and then there was a colorway of an orange pumpkin with teal vines and bats and flowers, and I couldn't decide between the 2, but then I knew I wanted to do the white pumpkin, but I just couldn't decide. So I ended up actually taking colors from both of the versions and kind of Frankensteining my own. So this is stitched on, I think it's just a 32 count. This is a little ornament scrap that my friend Diana at It Is Kismet Stitches had sent me, and she dyed this. I don't know what process she used, how she did it. It's gorgeous. It's absolutely stunning. But she just sent me this little ornament piece, and it just fit perfectly on there. So that was my other Valentine's finish. And then I had a finish not Valentine's related. So I was very lucky to get the Witchy Stitcher mystery box. I can't remember what it was called. It was coffee themed, but I don't remember what the actual like name of the box was. I think it was back in November. She only had like 100. I got one. It was amazing. Everything in it was amazing. And it came with a whole bunch of exclusive patterns. Now she is gradually releasing these patterns, but she hasn't released this one yet. This one is called Death Before Decaf. It will be available. She's released a couple from the box already, so it will be there eventually. But the box came with an exclusive color and cotton floss set, and I stitched this pattern with those. And I even fully finished this. Who am I? So here is Death Before Decaf. And I think last video, I don't know if anybody caught it, but I accidentally called this Death Before D-Stash, which is a Wild Violet cross stitch pattern. So I was definitely getting those a little bit mixed up. This is Death Before Decaf. It's stitched on a 32 count Fortnite fabrics that came from the Halloween trick-or-treat box from Black Needle Society. So it's called Fright Night, and I don't think you'll be able to get it. It was just exclusive to that box, but I just loved it. I thought it was perfect. And that is my finish. And this is a little anchor hoop. And then I just glued some felt on the back. It just fit perfectly in there. It even has this little hook, like they intend for you to just use this as a finishing hoop, but it's actually great for stitching too. You can stitch in this hoop. There's my other finish. And I love how that came out. And I love that pattern. It was a lot of stitching. Like once I started stitching it, I was like, oh, okay. Like I had felt like it was going to be a really quick, easy like stitch, and it took forever, but that's fine. It's great. It's a great pattern. Those were my finishes. So what have I been stitching on? Well, let me show you a few things. So after my last video, I got the floss I was waiting on for my chatelaine. So I had restarted the Alpine, I always forget what the full name is, Alpine Garden Mandala Outlander version. And I had restarted this because I did not like my fabric that I had started it on originally. Here's a horrible digital rendering of this pattern. I have it as a PDF. Beautiful pattern that she's tweaked a little bit to make it like Outlander specific. Like she's put the Fraser family motto on here. There's just like a couple, there's the Fraser tartan, like a couple nods to the books. And I had almost finished the center of this, and I showed this on my last video, but I was missing one color. I had just forgotten to order one Gloriana silk. Like when I had kitted this up, I had literally every floss except for this one silk, which of course this silk is like smack dab in the middle of the pattern. So that came in, and so I was able to finish the center of the pattern. This is all the called for colors. This is a fabric flare. I couldn't think of the word fabric, which is printed. So like the back is actually white and then the front is printed. The color is on here. I think it's called Historic Green. Yeah, Historic Green. It's 32 count. It's an even weave. And here is the center completely done. It looked mostly like this last time. I just had a couple, like a couple stitches in the cabin were missing. I also added the over one eagle and started on the metallic border that surrounds the center motif. So it was actually really fun to stitch on, but that is a journey project for sure. So what else did I work on? Okay, I was talked into starting this big, I've resisted this pattern for so long. I've loved it from the moment I saw it, but I have resisted. It's Halloween at Hawk Run Hollow by Carriage House Samplings. It's stunning. I love it. It's huge. And I've just resisted because I just didn't want to commit. And I know there are several stitch-alongs for this pattern specifically, and also just for like any Hawk Run Hollow pattern. I know there's a lot of stitch-alongs, but I actually started this as a little stitch-along with my friend Alexis. She's a local stitcher to me. She lives a little bit up north from me, and her Instagram and her channel is Alexis My Amazing World. I will link below if I remember. And then I also started this with Karen from Fox and Rabbit Designs over in Australia. So they kind of twisted my arm, and I finally broke down and I started it. So I'm using the called for DMC on a 40 count. The fabric is, I think it's Fiber on a Whim, and it's called Dunes. It's like an aged brown green. I think it's just perfect. I started in the center because that's the biggest block. This is where I see people get hung up on, right there in the center, that witch block. It's so big and people kind of get stuck there because most people start in the top left. But I decided to start in the center and get that block out of the way. So that was a couple of nights of stitching on that. And my plan for this is to maybe work on it 1 or 2 days a month, just kind of keep it like on the back burner, kind of keep it going. I know it's going to take a really long time to stitch. I'm not planning on a finish anytime soon, but I just think that if I work on it 1 or 2 days a week or a month, I'll get some progress, and I just don't want to like put it away and never touch it again, I guess is where I'm going with that. So then we finally got some snow here in Colorado. So I got out my snow day project, which is Mirabilia Santa's Magic. This is out of print. I don't know that it's super hard to find, but it is out of print. Mine was actually a kit. So this, I know this looks a little funny. Mirabilias usually come in like a smaller package. But this was, you know, probably 20 years ago. Well, 1995 is the copyright on the front. So 25 years ago, this came as a kit with all the floss and fabric and Krynic, and it came in this big weird package. So it is a real Mirabilia. If you ever see one like this and you're just wondering, it's probably because it came as a kit. So I'm using like the called for fabric and floss and everything that was in the kit. And I actually I think I got some really good progress on this. It actually snowed again on Friday, so I now have another day I need to put in this. This last journey, I did basically like all of this hat, like all of this blue and teal. I did most of this. I did almost everything up on this hat. And that's a lot of Krynic. I don't know if it's showing well on your end, but there is a ton of Krynic in there. So, and confetti. There is a ton of confetti. So much confetti. So many shades of gold and topaz in here and blends. It's slow going. It's a lot of confetti, but I do love how it's looking. And I mean, I think the newer Mirabilias are a little less confetti heavy, but this is one of the old ones, and I just think it was a process, and back then. I did convert Santa's skin tone to a darker skin, and other than that, it's all the called for. It's looking really, really great. I'm always reluctant to get this out and stitch on it. Like, I think mentally I've kind of built it up as like, oh, all the Krynic and the confetti and but then when I actually like get it out and work on it, I have a good time. And I'm always like, why did I dread this? Like, this is fun. What was my problem? So trying to keep that in mind, so that I don't have like negative associations with this project of like, oh, I got to work on that now, because it actually has been really fun to work on. So then I realized that Pisces season is swiftly upon us, and I want to keep up with this Tiny Modernist Zodiac Signs stitch along, which came out last year. The stitch along is done. But I didn't jump in until the summer. So I jumped in when she released Leo because I just loved it. I'd stitched Leo and then I put it away. So I was thinking for like 2022, I haven't joined a lot of stitch alongs or any really. No, I have joined a few now that I think about it. Anyway, I'm trying not to join all the stitch alongs. And this was already a work in progress. And I thought maybe this will like scratch the itch and I will just stitch each zodiac sign as it comes up. And I realized I needed to get Aquarius done because we're almost into Pisces season. So I got this back out and started working on it. This is on 14 count Aida, which I dyed myself. On 14 count, this is a big project. I'm going to move the Q-snap a little bit so I can show the whole thing. So here I am up in Aquarius. But this is how big, this thing is big. So I started with Leo. I went down and did Capricorn during Capricorn season. And then I had to work my way over to the top left for Aquarius. So I'm almost done with the block inside. I definitely have some borders still to do, but I've got a good start. I think what I'll do is just kind of work on the border as I go. You know, maybe like in Leo season, since I've already done the Leo, I can, you know, get a bunch of work ahead on the border. We'll see, you know, best laid plans. Maybe I don't touch this again the rest of the year. All the called for colors, absolutely love how this is turning out. And I love the final design, which is available. This is almost the final design. She's released these two blurred out things at the top and bottom. It's a sun and a moon. Just a really good design. So I'm hoping to finish Aquarius in the next day or two, so that I'm ready for Pisces season. Speaking of Aquarius, did you guys know I'm an Aquarius? I had a birthday, January 29th, I had a birthday. So I decided for my birthday start to stitch Nora Corbett Aquarius. So if you're not familiar, Nora Corbett is the designer for Mirabilia. So these are both the same designer. So we've got Mirabilia and we've got Nora Corbett. Same designer, but different, like, I don't know. There's a story there. It doesn't matter. I've found that although they're very similar, like the Nora Corbetts do have a little bit of a different look. And I've found that she has a little more diversity with the Nora Corbett line for whatever reason. So anyway, I've complained before about how many white ladies we see in cross-stitch designs. And I just really appreciated when she came out with this new series that there are some women of color. And just so happens that my sign Aquarius is also like this beautiful woman of color. So I definitely wanted to start this. This is smaller than it looks. It's stitching up so fast. So I started this on my birthday, and I think this might have been like 5 days worth of stitching. Look how much I got done. All of the the bottom is done except for beads. And oh, drop that. All I have left to do is the headpiece, which is enormous. The headpiece sort of mirrors this bottom part. So, you know, it's certainly a good chunk left, but she stitched it up so fast. This is 28 count Monaco that I dyed myself. And isn't she gorgeous? And I didn't have to change a thing. Like, this is, you know, it was really nice not to have to do a skin conversion because she was already charted as not an ivory pale woman. So I just love her. And I think I could finish. I didn't even expect to get that far on her. I really thought she was going to take longer. And I started stitching her and she was just stitching up so fast. And then I thought, okay, I just need to finish her. So I really do hope to finish her in the next month or two. And I'm going to start Pisces, the other design in this series, or one of the other designs in the series. I don't have her right here to show you. She is so beautiful. I think she's actually the prettiest one. So I will be starting her soon. So I think that's all of my, I'm just looking at my list. Yeah, that was all that I stitched on. That's it. And guess what? I have such like minimal haul. I've been so good. I haven't bought much. I really haven't. But Abby at Top Knot Stitcher had a sale and it was a couple weeks ago and I can't remember. It was 15% or 20% off. I don't remember exactly, but I couldn't resist. So I did place an order. I had tried to buy this pattern a couple times and it was like out of stock. So she finally had it in stock and I grabbed it for the sale. This is Cottage Garden Samplings, the Fox. We all like lost our minds when this was released because it's just so beautiful. It's just like, what's not to love? It is such a beautiful pattern and I've seen so many people stitching this, rightly so. It's just stunning. And it's going to be like a year-long series. I also grabbed Kathy Barrick Busy Hands because I love me some Kathy Barrick. And then I grabbed Fox and Rabbit, Charlotte Mills 1844. This chart, when it came out, I was like, oh, how pretty. And then I just kept, like, every time I would see it, I would just like stare at it more and more. It like kept growing on me. And the reason I kept resisting was the border is so intense. Like, look at the border on this. And I was like, no, I don't want to do that border. But then I couldn't, I kept coming back to it. I finally broke down. What I love about this sampler is, besides the really amazing border, is there's no verse. It's very, you know, it's very simple, some beautiful motifs. The center of it, you know, the stuff inside the border isn't too intense, I think. So I think that will offset how much of the border there is to stitch. Anyway, I don't know when I'm going to start that, but I love it. So that was my haul. That was it. I bought, a PDF pattern here and there. Like I bought the Ingleside Imaginarium, Domestic Love. So I've gotten a couple of things, but I'm really trying to, I'm trying to not buy all the things. But I wanted to show you, I did not buy this, but I was gifted this for my birthday. This is a bag from Jasmine Custom Bags. I will link her below if I remember. But my friend Victor, Flawed Sir, he actually commissioned Jasmine to make this bag for me for my birthday. So it came from two of my friends because Genevieve at Jasmine Custom Bags is a good friend too. So I think he was like, just do something she'll love. And then she came up with this. So this is a Lord of the Rings project bag. So Jen's bags are amazing. They're so well made. This is like a glitter vinyl. And then the back is the same fabric as the front. And it's Lord of the Rings. Like there's the Eye of Sauron. There's some Nazgul, like all the things. The lining is not anything super crazy, but just beautiful bags. I love that she has this little pocket here. I usually like put my floss in here, or scissors, something like that. It fits an 11 by 11 Q-snap. They're made impeccably. So that was a gift and I love it. Absolutely love it. Okay, so that's all the stitching. I tried really hard to make this video short and I think I did okay, hopefully. I guess I'll find out soon enough. So I'm going to talk about some books I've read. So if you do not care to stay for the book talk, you can leave now and you're not going to miss anything. We are done talking about stitching. Let's talk about books. So last video, it had been like 2 months since I had filmed. I had read a ton of books, especially over the Christmas holiday. And I think I had like 26 books to talk about. So I just was like, boom, 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 rapid fire. And it was actually really fun to do that. I can get really long-winded when I'm talking about books sometimes. So I think today I want to do kind of a compromise between maybe giving these books a little bit more than I did last video, but maybe not rambling on and on and on and on and on and on and on. We'll see. We'll see how we do. We'll see. Let's talk about some books I've read. So the first book that I read was the big Mama Jama. This is the newest Outlander book. This is, I think it's the 9th book. This is Go Tell the Bees That I Am Gone. This came out in November and I started reading this like right after Christmas. And these books take me a while, even though I'm a fast reader. You know, I think this book was about 900 pages. I was just checking, yeah. Like 880 pages, something like that. And they're dense. Like they're not this isn't like a big font with big spacing. They're 800 to 900 pages of like packed in text. They are beasts to get through. I find them completely worth it, but they're not for everyone. So obviously this is the 9th book. I'm not going through like the whole, like how to, you know, what's been going on with this series. Most people are familiar with the books or with the TV show. The TV show is fairly faithful to the books, especially the first couple of seasons. They did make a few changes, but very much true to the spirit of the books. And some of the stuff that they've changed, I think, is for the better, or they've streamlined like some characters, maybe combined 1 or 2 characters, or combined 2 or 3 characters into like one, just to make it easier to follow. So anyway, if you're familiar with this story, then you know, and if you don't know, I'm not going to explain Outlander to you today. But the books are so chock full of detail, but it's a lot of like slice of life, like daily living, but in a historical setting. So this book is during the Revolutionary War. So it's set in the late 1770s. And so you get a lot of that, like that early colonial life. The books, I just reread all of the books in 2021 in preparation for this one. This is really heavy. I'm not going to hold it up this whole time. It's very heavy. So anyway, I've recently reread them. So I feel more confident in talking about my experience with these books, which is that in almost all of them, the first half is very slow. We're setting up, we're laying some groundwork, we're meandering. The first half can be challenging to work through because not a lot happens. And then usually like around the halfway point, the plot really starts taking off, and all of those little threads that she's been laying in the first half, like finally start to come together, and things like usually get going. And then usually like the last 20% of the book is like just breakneck pace, like just boom, 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 boom. And just like stuff is happening, like craziness. So then you kind of end the book like gasping, like just like dying to know what happens next. Like give me the next one. And then you have to wait 5 or 6 years probably for the next one. But if you know that going in, I think that can make it easier. Some people just get stuck and give up on the series, and I totally understand. They are slow to get going. I love that what's the word I'm looking for? Like the minutiae of everyday life. I like learning about how they would be obtaining their food or trading for goods or building a cabin. Like, I mean, that stuff to me is interesting. So I don't mind it. But I can see how some people can't really enjoy that reading experience. But I love these books. And this book was just as good as all the others. And it ended on such a cliffhanger, which really makes me upset that I have to wait to find out what happens. But anyway, that was great. That was great. So I mentioned earlier in the video that I read Crescent City by Sarah J. Maas. This is a new series. The second book, like I said, comes out Tuesday the 15th. I don't know if she said how many. I think originally she said it was going to be a trilogy, but I think she's maybe now said it might be 4 or 5 books. But it's a new world, it's a new setting, new characters, and I fully expected to love it. But I did put off reading it until the second book was closer. I'm glad I did, because now I'm just like so excited for the second book. This book I think has been pretty well received, but I have seen a few mixed reviews, and some people have not enjoyed this book because the complaint I saw over and over again, and I knew going in, is that there is so much world building and like info dumping. And especially like in the first, like maybe 20-25% of the book, she's telling you what this world is, what the magic is, what the like political stuff is. And it's like a lot of names and places, and there's angels, there's fairies and other fae, there are humans, there are mermaids, merpeople. I mean, it's like a lot. There are a lot of players, and she's kind of telling you how they're all connected, and it's a lot of information, and I didn't mind. But I could totally see why people were like, wasn't for me, because it's just so much to take in. But I was able to like stay in it and follow, and I did enjoy the characters to where I didn't get too bogged down with the info dump. I loved it. And the last act of this book was so emotional and like heart-wrenching. I literally would have to stop every page and like set it down and like take a deep breath and like compose myself to keep going. Not like I was sobbing or anything, but just like I was so afraid of what was going to happen next. And it was so emotional, and I was just like, I don't know if I'm ready. And I was basically would like read a page and stop and then go text Carla and be like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And she'd be like, I know, keep going. And then I would go back and read some more. And then I would go text her like, oh my God, oh my God. It was just, it was so good. I loved it. And Sarah J. Maas is not for everyone, and I understand that, but when you love her, you love her, and Carla and I are Maas trash. So loved that book. If you are looking for, I guess I should explain, it's an adult urban fantasy, urban paranormal fantasy. It's a little different than her other books. Her other ones were not urban. They were fantasy. They were just straight fantasy romance. This is fantasy romance in an urban setting, which I thought was really interesting. Okay, so then I read a Kindle Unlimited book that my sister had told me to read, and a couple of other people like that I watched on YouTube had recommended. So it's called Lessons in Corruption by Gianna Darling, and I have some thoughts about this book. So, okay, Kindle Unlimited is like my new addiction. I love Kindle Unlimited. So it's a service through Kindle. You pay a monthly fee and you have access to like this whole catalog of books. And what some of them are like really well-known, like traditionally published books, and then some of them are just like self-published craziness, and you can find some really super smutty like dark romance stuff on there, and that's kind of the rabbit hole I've fallen into. And this is one of those. It's a dark romance. This book, how would I describe this book? I would call it Sons of Anarchy, but set in high school. I was uncomfortable. So what happens, this isn't a spoiler, like this is like in the first few pages, and like it's on the, you know, the summary, you know, when you're downloading the book. This woman is a high school teacher, and she's not, it's not a huge age gap. She's like 23 or 24. But she becomes involved with her student. Now he is 18, but he is in her classroom. I couldn't do it. Like that part, I couldn't get on board with that. They do meet like before, you know, she knows he's in her class. Like when she meets him, it's outside of school. It's before the school year has started. They have this instant connection, blah, 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 blah. And then she walks into like the first day of class, and there he is in her classroom. So it's a taboo, dark romance. And that's gross. That's gross. Like, you're his teacher. And granted, like through the whole book, she's like, this is wrong. This is wrong. I'm your teacher. This is so wrong. I can lose my job. I can go to jail. Like, everything is bad. And you know, that's part of like the tension and the taboo and the draw, is that it's like, this is so wrong. This is so wrong, but I can't help myself. But that was too gross for me. But the writing, the pacing, everything else like was really enjoyable. So I do want to give this author another chance. There's a whole series of this set in this world or whatever. It's our world, but set in this town with these characters. And I don't think any of the rest of them are like in high school or with like high school kids. So I do want to read the next and kind of give her another try. It was great, other than he's your student. That's gross. But super steamy, super smutty, involving a motorcycle club. So definitely made me want to go rewatch Sons of Anarchy while I was reading this book. So then I grabbed another book off of Kindle Unlimited, and this one is called The Sweetest Fix, and it's by Tessa Bailey. Tessa Bailey is an author I have really grown to love. So she's a contemporary romance author. She's published like traditional publishing, like big publishers. Will occasionally do some indie publishing as well, I think, but she does contemporary romance. This one I think was just one of her older titles. And I really liked this. It's set in, I think it's New York City. There's the heroine is, wants to be a Broadway dancer, and she comes to the city for an audition. I'm not going to go through the whole plot, but she ends up meeting this man who runs, like a bakery. So that's why it's called The Sweetest Fix. But, they have like an instant connection. And then, you know, there's a happily ever after. It's a contemporary romance. Like, but I really enjoyed it. I do like Tessa Bailey. I'm really glad I gave her another chance. Like, the first book I read from her, I was like kind of lukewarm on, and I've read 2 more since then, and I loved them. So I do think Tessa Bailey is a great author, and I'm glad I gave her another chance. I really enjoyed this book. So then I read this book called Desperate Measures by Katie Robert, a Kindle Unlimited book. So this book has been like taking TikTok by storm. Like, it's dark, you know, super dark, forbidden romance, like super smutty. And I really mostly just read it like to say I did. It's sort of like when I read Den of Vipers last video. I talked about that. It's I didn't think I would like it. I just had to, I needed to know. And like, so I could be in the conversation. Like, I was pretty sure I wasn't gonna like it, but I'll give it a try. Sometimes I like reading bad things too. Like, I enjoy hate reading things. So this is a whole series. This is just the first one in the series. And it's like Disney villain, like, retellings. So in this first one, it's Jasmine and Jafar from Aladdin. And Prince Ali, but he's not a prince, but Ali is like the bad guy. He's not the love interest. And this book was completely ridiculous and insane. And it was what I expected, but I was really kind of taken aback. It doesn't even pretend to have a plot. Like, literally, I started the book, and I think on like the 3rd page, like, full on sex scene. Like, oh, that's how this is gonna go. Okay, like, we're not gonna have like some character development or like build up to like the tension, or no, we're just going, okay. And then the rest of the book was just more and more ridiculous, like, sexual encounters that were just completely unbelievable and bizarre. But, you know, whatever. It is what it is. It's about what I expected. And I'll read more from this author, just to see, but I don't think, I think maybe I'll read 1 or 2 more and then I'll probably be done. I just don't think she's an author for me. So then I listened to the Andy Serkis narrated Lord of the Rings trilogy. He's done the whole trilogy, and I listened to all of them, and I listened to Return of the King. And this was like my 6th time reading this, probably my all-time favorite book. I know it's referred to as a trilogy, but Tolkien intended for the 3 novels to not be published as 3 novels. It was just one work. So it's really one book, really. But whatever. It's my favorite. The 3 of them together is my favorite. So Return of the King, I don't even know what to say. Like, I'm not gonna go through the plot of Lord of the Rings with anybody. This is the 3rd in the trilogy, wraps it all up. It's still my favorite. It's the best. Traditional OG fantasy. Okay, so then I read another Kindle Unlimited book. Do you see the theme? This is a book called Deal with the Elf King by Elisa Kova. And this book was just like really heavily marketed, but then I actually heard a couple of people like say that they really enjoyed it. So I decided to check it out. It is fantasy, a little bit of romance, but it's not like super, super heavy on the romance. But just like traditional fantasy, like elves, fae, you know, humans. And it was actually really good. I really liked it. And there are a few more books in this world. It's a standalone fantasy, which is also really nice because most fantasy, you know, is a whole series and you have to commit. This is a standalone, but there are other books like set in the world, but like I think featuring totally different characters where you don't have to have read, you know, one or the other. But it was really nice. The world building was really good. The magic system was really good. The characters were fleshed out. Like, it was well written. It was paced well. Like, it was a very nice, it was a very nice time. It wasn't like a 5-star like favorite, but I really enjoyed it. And if you're looking for some like classic fantasy feeling, you know, with a little romance, like, check it out. It was really good. It was really good. So then I wanted to read this forever, and I finally was like, I'm reading this. This is The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood. This is a contemporary romance, another book that totally has taken book talk by storm. Became super popular last year. I only found this out later after I'd heard about this book so much, and then I found out this book was originally fan fiction. Like the author was like on a fan fiction site writing Reylo fan fiction. So Rey and Kylo Ren from the new Star Wars movies. She was writing Reylo fan fiction. And I guess like it was good enough that someone told her like, you should just make it into a book. So she, you know, pulled it, edited it, changed the names, like whatever, and made it, you know, to where she could publish it without it being like obviously Reylo, I guess. Anyway, this book is well beloved. I've seen a few people that didn't like it, but generally like people really love this book. And I loved it. It was really great. So this is, like I said, a contemporary romance, but it features, what I thought was unique and fun about this book was, it features like, academia science, setting. The, female love interest is a graduate, like research student, at Stanford. And the male love interest is like a tenured faculty member. So it's not, she's not in his classes or like under him. So it's like, it's okay for them to date, even though like he's a teacher and she's a student, because they don't have, I guess, like the conflict of interest or whatever, but, it's not against like school policy for them to date. But anyway, it's a fake dating, book, which I'm not going to go into like all the intricacies of it, but it's a fake dating, but then like they really like each other and then they fall in love, right? But it's really funny. It's like paced really well. It felt fresh to me. It makes fun of itself for all the romance tropes. There are some things that happen that are just like so unbelievable and so eye-rolling and so ridiculous, but then they make fun of it. They're like, what are the chances that this is happening? Is this not like so bizarre and silly? Like, so it kind of is like tongue in cheek. But I think it's worth the hype. I really like this book. The author has a new book coming out, I think like in May or June, and I can't wait to see. It's another like love story set in like the STEM world. So I think that'll be really good. Okay, last thing I read. So I just was trying to get some romance books off my my TBR, my to be read shelf, because I had a lot of romance books that I bought last year, because I kind of just, mostly what happened was I was going to Target like every Saturday or Sunday, like basically once a week. And I was like, I'm going to just treat myself to a book while I'm here. So like literally I was buying 1 or 2 books every week from Target. And I just went down this rabbit hole of like buying contemporary romance novels, which I do very much enjoy, and I am reading them. But I have a lot. So I've tried to slow down on that and trying not to buy all of them. And trying to read some of them. And one that I had meant to read during the Christmas season, but had unfortunately not gotten to, was The Royal Holiday by Jasmine Guillory. So I just read this in February, but that's fine. It's fine. Jasmine Guillory has a lot of books out. I had not read any of them yet. This was my first one from her. And I have heard some mixed things. Like, she's generally well loved, but some people really like do not like her writing or like don't click with her. So I was kind of a little hesitant on how this was going to go. I did very much enjoy this, but it wasn't like a perfect read for me. I think I gave it like 3.5 stars. What I really loved about this book, it features characters of color, and it features older characters. They're in their 50s, and I kind of love that. Like, we read enough about, like, you know, these 20-year-olds or maybe 30-year-olds. It was kind of nice to have like a more mature romance, and it was still like steamy and swoony, and I really enjoyed it. The complaints I would have were minor things. Like, certain things didn't feel like super fleshed out. I think the biggest complaint I would have about this book is like the stakes weren't there for me. So what happens, like how the book starts off, and it was perfect like holiday romance. This woman lives in America, and her daughter has a job styling like the Duchess in England for like a week over Christmas. And she's like, Mom, come with me. We'll have a little holiday in the English countryside. So she goes with her daughter, and then the male love interest is like the queen's personal secretary. So this the stakes are that she's only there for like a week and a half, and then they're gonna have to leave. So I mean, there was like a drama and high stakes, but it's not brought up or mentioned until like the very end of the book. So like 90% of the book, it's like there's no drama. It's just like them being cute and like falling for each other. And then at the very end, she's like, oh, now I gotta go back to America. Like this, how's this gonna work? So that was it. I like a little more angst. I like a little more drama. So that was like the one thing that was missing for me. And the only other complaint I have is that the sex scenes were a little odd for me. Like they weren't fade to black, but they also were very vague, and it was just a little weird. Like I was like, what happened? Like, and then, you know, it's like, wow, that was amazing. And I'm like, what was amazing? What did you do? Like, it wasn't fade to black, but it was also like, there was no detail. So I'm curious to read more Jasmine Guillory. I actually have 3 books from her. I didn't realize this was kind of the 4th book in a series, but you could totally read it without having read the other 3. But I have those, so I'm going to read them. And I think I don't know. I'm curious to see how I feel. She might not be a favorite, but certainly good. Like it wasn't bad. And it would have been very charming at Christmas time. It was still very charming in February. But it was a very charming, like, getaway, right? Like they go to Sandringham estate in the rural countryside at Christmas time, and you know, it's very quaint and charming and beautiful. And it definitely made me want to go on Christmas vacation. So that was it. That was all the stuff I read. So that is all I have for today. And if you made it this far, go you. Great job. All right, I'm out of here. It's hard to wrap these up sometimes. All right, I'll see you next time. Bye.